David Cameron and the Conservatives to win the election in Britain because they felt he was someone they couldn't deal with. And then, of course, when the coalition government was formed, they had no choice but to schmooze up to him, start a new relationship. Hey, Dave, we always liked you. And these relationships are coming out. And apparently, one of them is one of the Saudi princes was desperately urging the Americans to attack Iran to eradicate their nuclear possibility, and that was sort of confidential information, and that's apparently in one of the leaks as well, among many others. But this is a sort of diplomatic back and forth, diplomatic cables, essentially, that are being publicised.
Right. Roy, sorry, is there anything else that wants to be added on the story? I think we'll move on to the next one on the list. I'm just, if nobody else has anything else to say about that.
One thing about WikiLeaks in general, I think they try to use the name of Wikipedia to a certain extent to get people's, to kind of get some of the brand, some of the trust behind Wikipedia. Jim Wales has complained several times about the site, and he correctly points out the site is not so much a wiki, it's not really much about participation, it's more about the leaks. So the quality of the site or the content of the site is to do with, and I always say, this guy who talks for WikiLeaks isn't really the hero as much as the people who pass him all this material. So if a person gives him like 1990, I think it's 90,000 documents or pages of stuff, this wasn't written by any of them. One person was brave enough to put his career or his life at stake by passing all these documents to these people. And you have lots of, leak-related websites. Even I think that the co-founder of WikiLeaks now runs a separate site that also does quite a few leaks. And another person who just quit WikiLeaks is trying to create his own websites, and they try to compete based on reputations and how they, what they leak and how they try to redact certain material and what they decide to publish and what is kind of too dangerous to publish. And but it's not so much a wiki from what I could tell. It's more of a submission form, and you put things up and you try to share it with people. So it's more of a leak site.
I don't want to be a fly in the ointment, but just something that occurred to me since the sort of big stories about WikiLeaks hit the mainstream news. We're taking all this on very good faith that the leaks that are coming out are actually genuine leaks. I know they've come from official sources, but if you look at the sort of double bluff, who's to say that these leaks aren't indeed leaks, intentional leaks with misinformation in them, and they're just as wrong as the sort of the official word that we had in the press.
That's the danger we had with the leaks to do with Microsoft. So with the court material, several of our sites were extremely concerned that some person could put one fake documents in all the pile and basically poison the well. So as soon as you find one fake one, everything is basically a suspect. So we cannot afford to publish something which we aren't sure is genuine, and we have to go to the source, and we have like an official Mira. That's a person called Grouchy. He usually hangs out in Elixir and Groklo and quite a few Linux sites. He was the person who got, using his modem, he got a copy of the website which contained 9,000 documents from the case. And again, that's really important to make sure all this comes from the official websites and not a single quote or something is taken to be taken as fake.
It just makes me wonder if I made an official-looking document and purported to be from some government agency in America or wherever, and then sent it to WikiLeaks, how far they would take it before they published it. Because bearing in mind that a lot of the stuff they're going on is probably on good faith. I don't suppose a lot of their sources would be willing to sort of say, I'm John Smith from down the road, and identify who they are through fear of implications on their liberty or criminal offences. But it does make me wonder, and how much faith we're putting into these so-called leaks when there might not be leaks at all. I don't know, Gordon.
And well, in some of these cases, I think the last one where they got the three newspapers involved, and sort of kept them under wraps, and they all released at the same time. Apparently, the journalists there were so keen to actually work with these and look at what WikiLeaks was actually producing, and then fitting that in with what they already knew. And apparently all of it matched up. Absolutely all of it they tested matched up. So it's when I would imagine that the way WikiLeaks is set up is they will have some sort of procedures for working out, right, that this guy is maybe a first time submitter. Do we take everything he says on faith? No, we don't. We check out, and if things match up with other things they've heard from other sources, then maybe it's true. Are they given something that's new that we've not heard before, some new piece of the puzzle, or are they just repeating the other stuff? Or are they, if it's like one new person that says one version of events and they've got 10 other separate things that all independently say another thing?
Yeah, they claim they're infiltrators or moles before. It goes back like 3 months ago when I think it was confirmed, they basically found out they were trying to have injected into them several agents who would look from the inside and possibly then accept some fakes, so you can have that as well. Always kind of building a circle of trust and trying to make sure people who are with you aren't being sent to be your friend, but actually be more trouble. We have lots of sites have these people who generally not, do it professionally for a police force, but some people are working for a corporation and they will try to be your friend, but the real purpose is to try and get some data out of you. And I actually had some people try and do this to me before, all kind of people with fake identities and try to fool me. At one stage, I had a person try to feed me false information about a person to publish, and he was the friend of that person, so he was just trying to, and as soon as this happened, he would try to discredit me based on the fact that I was publishing things, and I actually checked twice to make sure that I knew the person, and you have to test these people based on things like names, but then again, in emails, you can also have a person fake somebody else's name, and this happens too sometimes, so it's kind of a tricky thing. But
yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I wouldn't want to question the integrity of WikiLeaks, and I'm sure everything on there, regardless of its source, is published in good faith. But I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, we just don't know.
You have to. The two things that can happen. One of them is the site itself is trying to fake or tries to publish something which it knows not to be true. The other thing is you have to remember, once you become big fish, people try to poison your source, or they try to push substance into you, and you have all kinds of things happening to TV and the Yes Men. Do you know the Yes Men? Any of you? The group
is that the people on YouTube that made those videos?
It's more of a group they tend to pretend to be groups that they try to discredit, and they go into events and then they try to put into the press. They try to speak on behalf of.
That's right.
They try to speak on behalf of the disaster and apologizing, and then all the news breaks out. This company apologized, and then it turns out that this was a fake person pretending to be something else. And then you have like the BBC and the big networks basically realizing it was a faker. And these are the example. And then they discredit the network, because the network would have people ask them, why did you not check with the company that this was a faker? And you always have these types of people, especially once they have a reason to do that, and they try to get the exposure of, in this case, WikiLeaks. So you have.
Yeah, and in that case, with the 24-hour news channels, that's so easy for them to cut live and interview someone, just as you said, who pretends to be speaking on behalf of them, and interviewing them live. So they're not actually showing the video, the interview to someone from the company and saying, is this genuine? It's already broadcast. But the thing with any whistleblowing type of outlet, which WikiLeaks is, it's one of them. I mean, essentially, if the